True or false? Your first conversation with a prospect usually happens in the form of an email. Well, many of you are probably saying true to that question. And the reason is because it's easy and it's simple and it's safe. I mean, come on, they're not going to yell at you over an email. And if they do, you can always delete it. It's easy for the prospect because they can read and just give you a quick response. However, think about the thousands of emails that are sent out each and every day. Well, the millions of emails and how many hundreds your clients or prospects are getting on a day-to-day basis. What's causing your email to stand out? I know we have video, but what if there's something else you can add to that email? Today, my friend Chad is going to give you exactly what that one thing is, and hopefully it can help you to stand out as well when you send your email. Hey, maybe you close some more deals. This episode is brought to you in part by mailtag.io. Essentially, it's a tool that allows you to see around the corner. Want to know when someone opens your email? Or perhaps, maybe there's a link to your proposal. Want to know when they click on it? Mailtag.io gotcha. Take advantage of a 14-day free trial. Simply go to mailtag.io. This episode is also brought to you in part by TSE Certified Sales Training Program. If you feel that your sales are in a slump, 2018 wasn't the best year. Perhaps you gave some amazing presentations. You did a lot of hard work, but still yet they left you and went with the competition. We can fix that. Check out TSE Certified Sales Training Program. We have a new semester beginning in April, and it would be an absolute honor to have you join. Go to thesalesevangelist.com/C as in certified, S as in sales, T as in training. thesalesevangelist.com/CST. Hey, everyone. Welcome to another great episode of the Sales Evangelist Podcast. I am your host, Donald Kelly, the Sales Evangelist, and I'm so excited for another great episode. I'm so excited to be here with you today on this episode of Sales from the Street. And today, my guest is Chad Sanderson, and Chad is a sales, marketing, and business strategy veteran. Dude has over 19 years of proven results in driving revenues, facilitating marketing expansion, and building high-performance teams. Today, he's going to talk to us about this concept of utilizing stories in our emails. I'm not talking about long, drawn-out emails, just simple, short emails, but it has all the elements of a story that makes your prospect open and actually respond. We had a fantastic discussion, and I know you're going to gain some great insights from it. Check it out. Welcome to the show, Chad.
Hey, it's great to be here. Thank you for having me again.
Man, I'm so excited to have you. I know you're going to give us some great insights today. And I know we're going to tackle this topic because many of us have email challenges. We're always trying to reach out to prospect. Somehow, some way that it's just not working. But I like this idea of these brief, compelling stories. But before we dive into all that fun stuff, and maybe we have some folks who here have never heard you before, tell us a little bit more about you.
Man, so there's a lot to tell, but let's see if we can do it pretty quick. So I actually started my career in marketing and then jumped to the dark side of sales after 10 years of doing marketing. I thought, you know what? These guys are making a lot of money and they don't seem that much smarter than me. So I figured, what the hell, let's jump into sales. I didn't know what I was jumping into at the time, right? I learned the hard way that sales is a discipline and it takes a great deal of effort. And the A players that I was working with, of course, they make it look seamless. So figured that out early, thank goodness. Got my, proved myself as an individual contributor. And then, like all good contributors, oh, hey, you should manage. And so up the chain we went, right? Running teams, running organizations, and then eventually working with sales and marketing groups inside organizations that we were selling. Last one we sold to KPMG. And then about 3 years ago, the gentleman who trained me in sales all those years ago reached out and said, hey, you should really do this. You should work with these organizations, work with sales transformation initiatives. You're good at it. I was like, you're pandering, but okay. Flattery will get you everywhere. So I jumped in about 3 years ago to doing this and now have found myself traveling the globe, working with everything from SDR teams to account executive teams, consultants, project managers, anybody that has to engage with another human being in a way that provides value from that other human being's perspective. And this is especially true, to bring it back to the topic we're talking about today, in email or any written communication.
Dude, so true. First off, congratulations on the amazing career and the stuff that you're doing. You can't take stuff like that for granted. Like, that's amazing there. So clearly you're doing something right. And I love the mission of being able to help folks. So Way to go. Kudos on that, man.
Thank you.
Now, the other part that I think was compelling too is the fact that you had experience as a marketer. Now you have experience as a sales rep. You had experience as a sales leader and now as an entrepreneur. So you've been through everyone that's listening to this podcast from all levels.
So, we affectionately refer to it as I've been through the ringer.
You've been through something. They don't beat you up, threw you in a frying pan, threw you on a stove, on a floor.
Right.
You've been through it. So,
without a doubt.
So that's why I like having folks like you, because you're going to bring actual real life situations. So I want to go and start talking about that first off. Just diving in right there. Emails. What are the issues you see right now with all those hats that you've worn? What are some of the issues you see right now with typical sales email?
Well, besides the fact that most of them suck.
Dang it, you're talking about the emails I sent you the other day, huh?
I said most. I'll give you an example. Like, let's think about our average day, right? And if you're like most people today, you're attached to this device, all right, that some call a phone or a second brain or the universal knowledge terminal, whatever you feel like calling it. But we're constantly getting inundated with impressions, whether it be you get a new Facebook Messenger message, and next thing you know, you're watching cat videos. You get all these emails that come in. You get LinkedIn requests if you're on WhatsApp or Snapchat or Slack. There's all of this inundation from a digital sense, just in people reaching out or trying to communicate with you, not to mention all the ones you get if you're watching something on television, if people still have those, or you're watching TV on an iPad or something. There's all of these impressions that happen. And so what I see most often is the email, especially an email, it's really hard to break through the noise.
Yeah.
And the only way to do that I have found to be effective is to actually put yourself in the other person's shoes, which can be a bit of a challenge for people if they don't slow down long enough to think about that other individual. Because of all this digital, stuff that we get, we're moving fast, or it feels like we're moving ridiculously fast. And so we just, we put something in Cadence Manager or automated email, or maybe we think we personalized it and out it goes. And then, we cry because nobody replies. Mm-hmm. Well, it's because, we didn't take the time to really sit down and try and understand what that other person might be going through so that we can attach in a way that's going to be valuable from their perspective. That's first and foremost. And it's a subtle shift, but it's one that I see sales reps or consultants, anybody actually who's trying to get somebody's attention via email, whether it be into an Outlook inbox or a Gmail inbox, or even LinkedIn emails fall into the same category. Trying to get somebody's attention and connecting with them in a way that's valuable from their perspective. It's subtle but critical. And then on top of that, you get this cadence of emails that come behind it that are an onslaught in absolute just drudgery. I mean, it's like, in fact, I've got one, I won't name them on the podcast. I've got one company who has been after me for 4 months. And normally what I will do is if the email attempts are just horrible, I'll unsubscribe or I'll delete it. I'll just say, hey, thank you, but there's nothing that resonates with me in this. I try and do it nicely because, I work in this world too. So, but I've watched these emails. I've watched and mapped this cadence that this company has sent to me for the past 4 months. And it wasn't until email 14 or 15 that they ever said anything that might have been from my perspective. It was all about them. And I only read them because I was mapping them doing this little experiment. And it's just one example, but it happens all the time. I'm sure right now my email box is filling up with emails from people who want to talk, and they're just talking about themselves. Mm-hmm. And that's, it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work.
So one thing, it's like going to a network, and I guess to go back to this third time today, I'm bringing this up in a conversation about humanizing sales, right? And it sounds like it's overly done, and we talk about it so much, but it's just so darn true. We're talking to human beings. And the idea there is, if you go to a networking event, nobody likes to talk to that person who likes to talk about themselves. Am I right on that?
Right. Absolutely. And this is what I say to the clients we're working with. Come on. We all, you're a good looking dude, Donald. You probably crushed it when you were dating. Me, not so much. Like it was a hard sell. This is a hard sell. And I knew that. I knew that when I was dating. Yet I am successly divorced twice and in a third relationship. So I was able to get it done. But that's because I didn't talk about me. I made the other individual feel important. So don't even think about your business life. Just think about your friends. Which one of your friends, because everybody's got one. Everybody's got a friend. You get together, watch the football game on Sunday. They will not shut up about themselves. And what happens if you watch everybody in that room? They kind of, even if the Doritos and the salsa is over by them, like people start to migrate away from this person. Well, it's the same thing in sales, especially when you don't have an existing relationship with that human being that would get them, or a football game to watch, that would keep them in the same room with you. So why is it that we expect people to respond differently just because we're sending them an email and it's a business environment versus all of the same experience we've had in our personal life? There seems to be this disconnect of realizing that, yeah, we're in sales, but we're in a people business. We're in a business where people are buying from people. They're still buying from people. So if they don't trust you, they don't know you, you have to get to that point of credibility and rapport in order to have earned the right to talk about yourself. And I don't think a lot of sales reps or consultants see that these days.
So true on that. And I think it goes back to what I had in a previous conversation today was this simple idea. We want it quick. We want it easy. And just as much as we are inundated with so many, wonderful, notifications, like mine just chirped on the computer and I tell people to turn this off.
Right.
LinkedIn, one of those messages came through. We are getting inundated with all of those different messaging and different polls. We drown them out so easily. And sometimes it's because we do these messaging and quick things. We go back into doing them because we want to get quick the gratification. We want you, if I send you a message, I send you an email, I send you something, I want you to respond to me quickly. But it comes down to the fact that you need to work. It comes down to the fact that you need to do something. You need to do more, because if I'm understanding correctly, and I think we're going to go down to this in this email, if I set up a cadence process and send that cadence process out, I don't have to do anything. I just sit back and wait, set it and forget it, like those TV commercials. But if I'm going to do something that's going to be meaningful, it's going to require me to check out your business, or it's going to check out your profile, or to learn a little bit more about you so I can tie my messaging back to you. But again, that takes work. And I am busy because I need to go back and look at Snapchat right now. You know what I'm making sense of that?
100%. So, think about this. Sales has always been a discipline. It's always been tough. It's gotten tougher because, back in the day, I come from a time where phones had cords and we used paper, this thing called paper a lot. That it's gotten harder because now everybody can get to everybody, and everybody thinks they have something important to say. So the first step, if anybody wants to write this down, the first step is literally slow down. Just take a deep breath and think about the person. It doesn't have to be like, don't think about Donald or don't think about Chad. Think about, okay, I'm targeting podcast hosts who focus on B2B revenue generation in some way, shape, form, or fashion. That their podcasts target, I don't know, let's say the Global 1000. So now I have a little bit of context about these people. I don't know them. I still don't know them as individuals. Now I could go through, because there's a lot of us out there. There's a lot of people that fall in that category. I could go out and I could go into each of their profiles and LinkedIn profiles. I could go through their podcast websites. I could try to determine, the next level of understanding of that individual. But let's be honest, there's this thing called scale. And in sales, we have to scale intelligently. In order to do that, when it comes to prospecting emails, when it comes to that cold, and I call it cold, although we could have a whole nother discussion around whether or not really is cold. If you're doing that outreach, then you need to do it at scale. And there was I would say it was last week, there was a report from, I want to say Corporate Visions, where they ran a test with 7,000 emails. And they personalized half of them to the person and half of them to the challenges that person would be facing based on their role and the industry that they're in. So think of it as more industry/company personalization versus personal, like you and me personalization. Yeah. And what they found was the response rates, the open rates were, I want to say 4 points, 5 points higher on cold emails. If they crafted those emails to highlight challenges those individuals would definitely be wrestling with because of the job that they held. Now, some people will argue with me and say that that's not, well, when we talk personalization, we're like, we want to get into chat set, which I highly don't recommend. But people want to get inside my head and understand, hey, this is how I'm going to get your attention. When what we really need to do is understand the context that those people are in, the context that their peer group, and show them, I hate to use the word insights, but show them something that's going to tap into that curiosity circuit. So then we can go to the next level of personalization. So let's say if I send 100 emails and I get 10 responses, 10% response rate. Now I've got to do a next level of research on 10 people instead of doing all of that research on 100 people at first. And I did the research for the industry at first to do that customization, to understand that role. Now I'm going to go, once I have that response, now I'm going to go to the next level. We like to tell people you should be able to do 15 minutes of research on an industry, 10 minutes of research on a company, and 5 minutes of research on an individual. And if you can stick to that and not get distracted by dog videos, cat videos, clown videos, whatever you're into.
Tiger winning the Masters.
Oh man, that came through last night when I was out house hunting and I had to stop the realtor. I was like, whoa, wait a minute, check this out. But yeah, it comes through, right? That stuff grabs your attention. Mm-hmm. And so if we can be disciplined in our approach, then it isn't about creating a cadence and setting it and forgetting it. It's about thinking about how that person would respond to that first piece of information. Is it going to create anxiety? Is it going to tap into their, are we structuring it in a way that we've made them curious? So now they're waiting for the next email, or they're going to respond to a call, or whatever it may be. If we think strategically about those cadences and choreograph them within the context of the individuals that we're focusing on, our response rates go up, and we're able to do it at scale. Yes, it's still work, but it isn't, 40 hours of researching individuals and taking copious notes.
Hey, we're going to take a quick break. And as you heard, we're having a good time, Chad and I, and we're going to pick up right where we left off when we get back and talk about the idea of incorporating stories. You're listening to the Sales Evangelist podcast, and I'm your host, Donald Kelly, the Sales Evangelist. You meet this amazing prospect on LinkedIn. They're the right size firm, the right income, the right number of employees. They're right within your Goldilocks zone. They have a problem, and you can solve that problem with your software. You schedule an initial appointment. You send out an email to them and to a couple of their team members. You also send out some information about your firm, but you don't know if they're opening your emails or not. You don't know if they're clicking through and going to the web pages that you recommended. It's a Chrome browser extension that allows you to get notification when someone opens your email or clicks on a link. The coolest part is that you can schedule your emails for later. Mailtag.io has a free 14-day trial, so you don't have to take my word for it. You can go and test it out. And when you do fall in love with it, go ahead and use promo code Donald at checkout and get half off your subscription for life. Shh, don't go telling nobody about that now. Half off your subscription for life just because you're listening to the TSE podcast. To find out more information, again, go to mailtag.io. But let's continue the story. The prospect then goes ahead and clicks on all of your links. They go back to your website. They're doing their initial research. They want to schedule the next meeting. You go through the process. You create a demonstration. I mean, an amazing demonstration. You gave it everything you had, your emotion, your heart, your feelings. You gave epic value. But still yet, when it's all said and done, they said,
Thank you so much, Donald. Unfortunately, we are going with another vendor. We appreciate all that you did. Thank you.
Devastated. I know that feeling. I've been there. You've been there. And it's horrible. But we can fix that. We fix that by helping you with TSE Certified Sales Training Program. We would love for you to check out our upcoming semester to learn how we can help you not only find the right customers, not only say the right things and help your clients get all the way to the demonstration, but actually what you should be doing to help them convert to come towards your product or your service. To find out more information, go to thesalesevangelist.com/CST. Again, thesalesevangelist.com/C for certified, S for sales, T for training. We have a new semester coming up in April, and I would love to have you join us. Let's help you to close more deals. Hey, we're back. And as we dive into the second half, Chad is going to outline this concept and to share with us how we can incorporate these powerful stories to captivate our prospects' attention. Check it out. So let me go back and make sure we understand this again. Focus on my problem, my industry problem per se, not necessarily Donald and the fact that I was a National Junior Honor Society student back in the days. Like, right. You don't need that.
Well, think about it like somebody that comes up to you, just any conversation, somebody you meet for the very first time. If they make a connection with you, say we're, you and I met at a cocktail party. We're both in the sales business. We both host podcasts. That's where we're going to start to talk first. That's where the first connection is going to happen. That's a connection on our industry and what we focus on. It's not truly personal because there are a bunch of other people that have the same thing, but you and I meet face to face. That's probably where it'll start. Then the conversation will naturally evolve into, hey, you've won all these awards and this is what I'm bringing to the market. Like it gets to that next level. Whereas I think the personalization, everybody seems to think that if they have AI in the title, then they're somehow going to get amazing personalization. It's not that hard. It really isn't that hard. So the tools that I've seen, there's some good ones out there, but they help. They don't replace. So I haven't found anything that can grab a list of prospects, do 15 minutes of segment it by industry and role, do 15 minutes of research and craft 3, 4, 5 strategic emails using the AIM framework, anxiety, influence, or motivation, or a curiosity matrix, something to tap into the curiosity. I haven't found anything that can do it faster and more effectively than some of the team members and human beings that I work with if you are focused. And that's the key. How many people are shutting off Slack and all of the distractions so that when I'm doing my work, I'm completely focused on my work? Because you can't multitask. The human brain can't multitask. That's screwing up 2 things simultaneously.
All right. So I want to go into this part about telling stories with these emails, because I think you just started hitting on that with when you talk about like the AIM and, and stuff like that. Are you really saying like a story, or what do you mean by that when you say stories with those emails?
So I can give you 2 examples, right? So I've seen one gentleman that I've worked with be amazingly successful with really personal stories based on his interaction with a brand. So he's a SDR who is going after retail customers. He actually goes to these retail stores. If it's, I don't know, Tux Rental, the ones that comes to mind is Men's Warehouse. He went into Men's Warehouse. He had to go in for a Tux or something for a wedding. And he used that experience to turn it into an email to the CEO to say, here's the gap that you guys are having and how we could solve it. But it was wrapped in that really rich experience that he had as an individual with that brand. But it was also only 6 or 7 sentences long, still fit on a mobile screen device. So that's one way you can do it. Like, use your experiences. People want to hear, some people will want to hear about how that brand made you feel, right? Or how that individual made you feel. That works in a B2C environment. In B2B, it's more about tell a story about how you've helped somebody that has the same struggles the individual you're targeting has. So if you're going after, and this is almost common sense to me, maybe not. But if you think about it, if you're targeting, I don't know, directors of marketing in, let's say, manufacturing software, I mean, that's a pretty specific role. But if you have a customer that you've worked with and you have a case study, don't tell them about the case study. Tell them about the person that's like them. Like, hey, you know what? We worked with a director of marketing in a manufacturing organization that was struggling with this, and this. We know, based on our experience, we know you. We know you're probably one of these 3 things is a challenge. We were able to help them turn that around and produce these types of results. Now, notice I didn't talk about what we did with them. I just talked about the results that we helped them produce. And as a result, that individual is now off doing something else, or they've been recognized. So I'm telling a story. I don't know you, so I can't tell a story about you, but I've worked with people like you. And so I can tell a story of challenges, solutions, and outcomes that will potentially resonate with that role, because we know everybody, based on our research, everybody that is a director of marketing in a manufacturing software company is struggling with X. That stuff's not hard to find. There's more than enough pundits out there that want to tell you what all those challenges are. So why not create a story? It's almost like a mini drama. We're not talking on the scale of Game of Thrones. We're talking a story structure. And if anybody wants to understand story structure better than the vast majority of salespeople, there is a book called Creativity Inc. It was written by, I want to say, Catmull. It's all about how Pixar structures their story creation for all their movies. Same concept. That's all we're doing. It's create awareness, introduce conflict, happy ending off into the sunset. Now, to do it well in email and keep, we all know, everybody should know, we want our emails to be able to be read on one mobile screen. Right? That's the ideal. But has anybody ever sat down and on first draft written an email that actually can be read on a mobile screen? No, probably not. So it takes a little time. You actually have to put some thought into it, edit. I typically will go through a 2-draft, 3-draft process before I send an email, because I only have one, I have to think to myself, I only have one chance to set the hook.
Yeah.
So I want to make sure it's powerful. And then I always pressure test it and say, okay, is this more about me or them? And if it's about them and it's a compelling structure of how I know people like them, that's one way to do it at scale, right? With a whole bunch of people you don't know. There's subtle differences if you're doing it with, if you're going after your network and people that you do know and you have a relationship with. But rule of thumb is, 15 minutes of research on an industry, and you should be able to pull enough insight into those types of roles in that market that you can set an anxiety hook or a curiosity hook really fast. First sentence, even subject line in some cases.
Do you have any examples of that you've seen clients use recently?
Oh,
I don't put you on the spot there.
Yeah, no, that's cool. So I would go to one example that I have seen that isn't from a client because I don't have permission to share this, but everybody out there should know Barb Giamanco.
Yeah.
Barb Giamanco is phenomenal. She's an amazing woman. She posted, I want to say it was about 6 months ago, maybe longer. I don't know. The older I get, the faster time. She posted an example of an email that she had sent out to women, CMOs, female CMOs that had been recognized in an award ceremony. And that email was almost, from my perspective, the perfect email. Now, first person that looks at it say, oh, it's a little bit longer than a mobile screen. Yes. However, it provides a story of, hey, I read about you. Here's the award you won. I've also read another Harvard Business Review article that said CMOs are struggling to get a seat at the table. I'm going to take action to write a blog post about it. Would love your perspective. I'm condensing it just from memory. But that type of, hey, you got recognized and I'm recognizing your award. Like I'm recognizing that you were recognized, just kind of like you did when we got on, right?
Yeah.
It's one of those things where I'm paying attention to you. It's not about me. I'm paying attention to you. In that email, she doesn't talk about what she's going to do till like almost the last sentence. And it's not even about what she's going to do. It's about how she's going to help that individual overcome the anxiety she introduced by saying, hey, I saw this Harvard Business Review article where it says CMOs are struggling to have a seat at the table, at the executive table. And here's how I'm going to help you overcome that. And I forget off the top of my head what her response rate was on that email, but it was 5x what most of us would expect to see on an email. I mean, it was unbelievable. And she put time and effort into it. You can tell by reading it. She was being authentic. She was being genuine. There was nothing in the email. If you look at it really closely, it is a template, but it isn't such a template. It's so targeted to that individuals in those lists that it doesn't feel like a template. And it's that type of approach. I'll see if I can dig it up and send it over to you, or I'll just reach out to Barb and see if she's got a copy of it. But either way, that's one example of it. One of the things that I've seen be really successful, we have a client who's in the digital agency space. Yeah. And so they reached out, they went on a campaign to go after directors of digital inside of organizations. And they went after them specifically by telling the story of how they had worked with the director of digital at Domino's to take them from zero to a multi-billion-dollar digital online commerce solution. And so but it was 5 sentences, right? And it wasn't about them. It was all about how that role had been tasked with solving this problem. And these were the challenges they had. And working with them, they were able to come up with these outcomes for that individual. And it was extremely powerful, had great response rate, and started a lot of conversations. The challenge with email is once you get the conversation started, you have to have the skill set to keep it going.
I know, right?
It's probably a different podcast.
That's going to be round 2. Shoot. But no, that makes total sense. And I really love it. Going back to the Barb example, and big shout out to Barb. She has an amazing show as well, and she's been on our podcast. I really love that, the personalization, and also the simple fact that it's something that ties back to me. I'm curious though, with that CTA or call to action at the very end, she led them to then, they responded to give it their insight. I can't remember to.
Yeah. So it was an email that was structured to that she was going to do a blog post.
Yeah.
Specifically around how CMOs were struggling to get a seat at the table. And she wanted these individuals who had been recognized, these women who had been recognized, to put their opinion in, to have a conversation with her so that she could understand their opinion. And again, it wasn't in that digital agency example, the call to action was, hey, we're putting together, I think it was a white paper around directors of digital in these types of environments and would love your perspective, right? So it's an ask, it's a call to action designed to get a conversation started. Whereas the vast majority of email today is like, hey, are you struggling with this? Because we can help you. Okay, well, great. Unless you hit me at exactly the right time, which is really hard to do. I'm not thinking about that thing you're telling me I'm struggling with. So my initial reaction is, I'm not struggling with that.
I'm good, bro. I'm good. Thanks.
Yeah. Stay in your lane, man. I got it.
Stay in your lane, bro. Even though my house is burning down, I'm not paying attention to it right now, but that's it.
Absolutely.
So true, man. Well, dude, man, I appreciate that. If there's one major piece of takeaway you'd like folks listening to this episode to walk away with, what's that one major piece of advice?
I would say one piece of advice has two components. Slow down and think about your target. Think about your prospects as human beings first and foremost.
Love it, man. And you have a podcast as well. So if folks want to get in touch with you or to learn about your podcast, where should they go?
So the podcast web address is b2brev, R-E-V, exec.com. That'll tell you the name of the podcast is the B2B Revenue Executive Experience. So you can hit it to that website. Easiest way to get a hold of me is LinkedIn. You can't miss me. Bald as a baby's butt with a gray goatee. And it shouldn't be difficult to reach out. I will say, though, don't just send me a connection request on LinkedIn without some type of note because I don't pay attention to those.
Please, yes. Be human. Love it, dude. All right, man. Well, and thank you so much, man. Anything new that's going on right now that we should know about that you would like to share?
Hey, man, it's amazing to me to watch everything unfold out there. You know, that we do a lot of work in the MarTech space and watching, I think we're up to 7,200 companies in the MarTech 5,000 or something like that. Seeing that happen and getting a chance to work with organizations as some of that consolidation happens. Adobe is one of our customers and they just bought Magento. So that's a lot of fun. And just seeing how people are working to remain authentic when they're constantly inundated with digital distractions. It's a great place to be working and breathing right now. So super excited to be part of the community.
Love it, man. Well, I want to tell you, thank you so much for taking the time to come on the show today. We truly appreciated it. Thank you, man.
It's my pleasure. Anytime.
Listen, you need to go back and connect with Chad. We have all of his information in our show notes, and you can go check out his company, valueselling.com. He has some great content, great products that he's sharing, great insights, great services. And I don't always just bring on random people who can't deliver value. This dude can deliver it, man. I'm telling you, all of them can. And I want you to make friends with Chad. You can find him on LinkedIn as well. We have a link back into the show notes. Everything is there. thesalesevangelist.com/the-word episode number 1079. Again, thesalesevangelist.com/the-word episode number 1079. And while you're there, make sure to connect with mailtag.io. Learn about the cool things they're offering. Also, check out their 14-day free trial. And if you fall in love with the program, go ahead and use promo code Donald at checkout and get 50% off your subscription for life. Again, all the information is back at thesalesevangelist.com/the-word episode number 1079. Also, check out TSE Certified Sales Training Program. Our new semester begins later this month. It would be an absolute honor to have you join us. Find all the details, thesalesevangelist.com/the-word episode number 1079. I want you guys to be successful. I want you to find more ideal customers. I want you to have more meaningful conversations. I want you to close more deals, but most importantly, it's to challenge you each and every single day to go out and do big things. Hey, thank you so much for listening today. And if you haven't done so already, go ahead and hit subscribe. Show your friends, your colleagues how they can subscribe. Leave us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts or on Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, or wherever you listen to find podcasts. It would be extremely appreciated. Thank you so much. It goes a long way. Our show today was produced by myself and the Sales Podcast Network. It was edited and mixed together by the one and only Mr. Jershon O'Bale. Our content writer and show note creator is Mrs. Shannon Rasmussen. You can find audio credits to this and all of our episodes in the show notes. And as always, I am your host, your coach, your mentor, your guide down the sales journey, Mr. Donald C. Kelly, the Sales Evangelist. Sales Podcast Network.